Good
Yeah,
evening.
I did that too.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 5th, 2025 Asbury Park Planning Board regular meeting. Chairwoman Barbara Kurzak, can you please call this meeting to order?
Yes, this meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Coaster and Asbury Park Press by publication of the annual meeting notice and posted on the Municipal Bulletin Board and municipal website. All notices are on file with the Board Secretary. Official action may be taken on the following matters before the Board. This meeting is being recorded by APTV for your viewing pleasure. Please join me to salute the flag.
This is the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now take roll call. James Bonanno is absent. Councilwoman Clayton.
Present.
Okay. Jim Henry.
Here.
Jeremy Hoffman is absent this evening. Mayor Moore.
Here.
Jen Souter.
Here.
Daniel Shenameo.
Here.
Bob Zuckerman is absent this evening. Kathy McLaughlin. Here. Okay. Vice Chair Goonan.
Here.
Chairwoman Kurzak.
Here. First item on the agenda is a resolution for approval for 711 Bangs Avenue. Does anyone have any questions or concerns on the board?
I just have one question. So you put in the resolution they needed 9 residential spots, so that whole thing with the commercial has been settled, or?
Yes, yes, yeah, there's no, Michelle and Donna had looked through the plan extensively, and for this commercial, since, what was the essence of it, that it didn't need it? Because,
Less than 10,000 square feet.
yeah, it was, because it was less than 10,000 square feet, so it was pretty straightforward.
Got it, after all.
After, yeah, in the end, yeah.
All right, if the board's satisfied, can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So, second?
Who's eligible?
Oh, so the members that are eligible are Jim Henry, Barbara Kurzak, Yvonne Clayton, John Moore, Michael Goonan, Catherine McLaughlin, Daniel Shenameo.
Okay, so Michael, you moved it?
Yvonne moved it, I second.
Oh, Yvonne did?
So Yvonne
Okay.
and
Michael seconded?
Yvonne and Michael second. Okay, Jim Henry,
Yes.
Yvonne Clayton,
Yes.
John Moore,
Yes.
Catherine McLaughlin,
Yes.
Daniel Shenameo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goonan,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Barbara Kurzak.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, next item up is the Main Street redevelopment plan proposed amendment.
Okay,
Shall I?
You shall.
yes.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Whenever you're ready, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name and your affiliation with the board and the city in this matter.
Donna Miller. I am the board's planner, and in this instance, I am assisting Beth McManus and Michelle Alonso as the architects of this amendment to the Main Street Development Plan. I believe you have in your packages copies of the amendment that's proposed, and it's Resolution 2025-210.
Yes.
And basically what we're here to do tonight is determine consistency with the master plan of the proposed amendment. And so, just to recap, what is being asked is there's an area in the redevelopment plan that designates a part of the Main Street area as a community shopping zone. And in that zone, we don't permit adult daycare uses. There is an existing adult daycare use in the community shopping zone, and it seeks to move its location. So the proposed amendment is going to say, okay, adult daycare permitted at a specific site, and that's the specific site where this existing daycare center wants to move to. And it happens to be the existing Dollar Tree store. If everybody's familiar, between 3rd and 4th on the west side.
So Dollar Tree is going out?
I think they're already out. So the amendment, which is Exhibit A to the resolution, specifies the type of use, the location of the use, and establishes a parking requirement for the use. So what I've done is gone through and reviewed the most recent master plan reexamination report from 2018 and tried to determine whether there are any goals, objectives, recommendations that are consistent with this change or inconsistent with this change. And I believe there are let me just make sure, 3 or 4. Four goals that are, indicate consistency. One is in the land use plan section, where there's a recommendation to upgrade the appearance and function of neighborhood business areas. It's very general. It's from the original master plan, but it was carried forward in the new one. That was found to be still relevant, and that there are actions taken in the various business district, redevelopment areas, and specifically calls out Main Street to address vacancies and unappealing character. So if Dollar Tree store is vacant, can't find a use to occupy it, this allows a use to occupy it to prohibit extenuating vacancies on Main Street. In the urban design plan section, there's a recommendation to ensure first floor uses in retail and entertainment districts have an inviting and interesting appearance and are composed of active uses. And so having a daycare center, and again, in a ground floor use, given the specific site with large storefront windows, there's active use that would be evident in the space. The next section is economic development plan, where the goal is to encourage the healthcare and professional scientific and technical service industry sectors, as they are expected to experience significant growth in the next decade. And so, as a adult daycare facility, that is a healthcare, technical service industry sector, that would be a recommended industry type to be in that area. The community facilities plan recommends providing community services which address all demographic sectors of the population, such as schools, daycare facilities, recreation facilities, and senior centers. And so again, the recommendation to add daycare, adult daycare uses to the plan, and specifically in the community shopping district, seems to be supported by this master plan goal. Now, I did find one section that seems to be contrary to supporting the recommended change, and that is in the land use plan, where there's a recommendation to strengthen and improve citywide neighborhood commercial districts as centers of employment, shopping, services, entertainment, and education. So it's not completely inconsistent, but there's a hierarchy of a preference, particularly in the community shopping zone, for commercial retail shopping type uses. Hierarchically, having a daycare center may not be as, highest best use. So it's kind of a secondary recommendation, not necessarily completely inconsistent, but not 100% consistent. So basically, it's up to you guys to decide whether the change is consistent or not, and make a recommendation to the governing body of that finding. And any recommendations, if you think there should be additional regulations or conditions to that recommendation, or to the proposed ordinance.
So they're gonna move from, what, the YMCA building?
Yeah.
So it's not like adding new, it's just moving, right? And that's the community shopping center.
That's also, right.
It's the same thing, right?
But they're in the back of the building, I think, over there, and so the amendment doesn't say that adult daycare is permitted at the Y now. So hopefully the new use that will go into the Y will be a conforming shopping zone use.
What's about the parking that's over there by the Dollar Tree? Is that gonna be all their parking? Is that what the
I'm
Dollar
not
Tree-
sure how they're gonna break it up. That's to be decided, I guess, as part of whatever plan they come to the city with. Right now, they've crafted this amendment to the redevelopment plan so that they can make whatever parking they need will be available on that site.
I have a quick, three question. So we're only looking at whether, for the redevelopment plan, whether that use should be permitted, not any design, nothing like that.
Nothing else. Well, the parking and the.
In that
and the use.
specific location.
In that specific location, but, and it's not, the Dollar Tree's still there, and that's changed today. I was
Oh,
there
okay.
yesterday. I mean, it's still.
Sure.
Because I think well, your point about what we can say about what would, anything around the regulation, that I'm not sure how much we can say at this point if it's just a change to daycare, like moving across the street, basically. It's just a use thing. There's nothing about design that we can say at this point.
No, and there's no proposed change to the design regulations. You know, if they go into that building and they want to change the design of the building and it doesn't comply with the redevelopment plan requirements, the design standards, they have to come to the planning board for site plan approval and design exceptions or whatever.
Right, it's only the use.
This is use and parking.
It is specific to that, I'm sorry.
Sorry, wait 1 second. You said use and parking.
Yeah, because there was no parking standard for adult daycare in the redevelopment plan. So now we're creating a standard for adult daycare uses to have a parking requirement.
But we're not just determining that parking tonight. We're not determining the parking tonight.
The governing body has already decided what it should be. That's what's in the proposed amendment.
And what is that?
And the existing parking that's there goes with the building. So the building already has parking.
Yes.
And so that parking is not going to change, right?
Not that I'm aware of, no, but
Okay.
But to be clear, that when we're saying the government, so mayor and council have already said, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay? But I guess that we're not clear as to, if we're saying that the building and the parking lot that exists, that it has, if that's enough, I don't know what it has, so I don't know.
It currently only has a portion of that lot.
Yeah, it has like half the lot.
Yeah.
The amendment is saying one space, off-street space, for each transportation vehicle. And I think that's what it's saying.
Yeah, it did say something like that, Daniel.
And let me ask you said it's specific to that address. Is it specific to that user? Or if the user change? Just say, okay, we say, okay, they go there, and that operator goes out. Does that automatically make it that another adult use, adult care could be in there? You said it's specific to the.
yes.
to the-
Yeah, so if there's another operator, if Jersey Shore Adult Day Healthcare says, not doing it anymore, moves out of town, and another licensee wants to come in on Main Street, that would be the only place they could go. It's not for the operator, it's for the site.
So we would be okaying the use for that specific location
Correct.
for anyone.
That's what the governing body has decided, yes.
And then if somebody else wanted to change that use, they'd have to come back. We have to do it all over again.
As long as it's a permitted use
Oh,
in the
permitted,
community
right,
shopping
right.
zone, they don't have to.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
And what is our, what's something in the non-conforming uses? We're making it a conforming use.
Exactly. At hopefully a more beneficial location for the user and, maybe the Dollar Tree.
So can I ask that if we approve this and we say that, all right, this building can do this with the parking spots that come with the building, I don't know how many there are, whatever they are, that's it.
You're not giving an approval.
We're not saying.
What?
You're not giving an approval.
No, we're making recommendations.
Right, we're making the
We have to make a
recommendation.
finding of consistency or inconsistency with the master plan, and then if we want to make recommendations, we can.
Yes. But the recommendations, if we're talking parking, then we have to, that's a recommendation,
Okay.
right? So I'm just saying that those parking spaces have to come with the building, whatever they are, however many there are that come with it at this point. 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many there are, they're on that side. And that we are not asking, and the recommendation, in my opinion, everybody else can have another opinion, that it is not in front of the building. That they cannot take any spots in front of the building as their own. Like, it's not like a loading zone
You mean on the street?
on the street.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, on street is not within their scope.
Right.
No parking spaces on the street now.
There are none?
There are.
There are none in front of that building.
There are.
No, there aren't.
Oh,
I park there all the time. Right by the driveway entrance, there's parking on the street.
Yeah, I think there's
I
just
drive, I park there all the time.
On the
Along
other
the
side of
frontage.
the driveway,
When you
but
come
not
from the-
directly in front of the building.
Well, they could, I mean, they-
Again, on-street parking is not in the purview
right, it's
of-
not in that,
Yeah.
but it could be a recommendation that we make. Fair.
and the use for the old place would go away under this, if we approve this. Or we now.
This
have
doesn't
a
do
use-
anything to the old location.
So
That is still
that-
subject to whatever the community shopping zone permits.
Would the senior care still be permitted there? Or are we transferring the use?
If the senior care is existing there, is irrelevant, yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with the existing uses in the building at the Y. This is
No,
only
my
proposing,
understanding
this is
is-
only proposing at the Dollar Tree location.
But are we proposing moving the allowance of that use to another property, or are we adding a use at another property? So now.
The
we have two
expectation,
places.
the expectation is a move, but there's nothing in the regulations that would
Well,
restrict that.
So we might, in fact, be increasing. We might be permitting that use, if we approve this, we might be permitting.
You might get two.
The use in two. So that's something to think about. I don't know if anybody thought about it. So we're increasing something we didn't want.
Why is that particular building particularly attractive for this use?
Unfortunately, I don't know. I've only been asked to step in at this stage. I don't know the backstory, I don't know the history.
I think some of the backstory is, excuse me, I think this is correct, so I'm not swearing on the Bible. What I've been told is, there's a new owner of the YMCA, and they did not renew the lease of the agency in there.
Yes.
So the agency has to find a new location. The only place in Asbury Park is the Dollar Tree, which is soon to be vacant. And what I have been told is the majority of the people that use this facility are Asbury Park residents. Now, I'm not saying that's the truth either. I know quite a few of them are because I've been in there. And I know the people. Now, I believe on the YMCA, on the side street, they do have some reserved spots for their little mini buses. Now, I agree, like, it says like enough spaces for each vehicle. Now, what happens if they have 50 vehicles all of a sudden? Like me. And that should have been asked at the council level, so my blunder. So that's something we're gonna put in.
But aren't we saying they need to have, they can operate their business, but if they operate their business, they have to have a spot for each vehicle plus one spot per 900 square feet?
That's a recommendation.
But if that was what makes it into the plan, then they couldn't operate, once they run out of spots, they can't have more, right?
Okay.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
I would
Well,
think,
what do they have now? How many spots do they have now? Because I believe,
Well, I don't think they have any now. I mean,
Yeah.
they may have spaces on the street reserved, but there's no off-street parking at
no
the
off-street,
Y.
but
Yeah,
how did they get this, it was before my time, how did they get the spaces on the street reserved?
Yeah.
I don't think they're
Also before
reserved.
my time.
Stripes on the street.
Yeah, you're right, before all of our time.
Yeah, I don't think they're reserved. I think they just park there.
I think they put up signs
For
too.
each vehicle providing transportation, so, I don't know what that means, is that official vehicles? or is that-
So when they come in to do their occupancy, they're gonna tell the zoning office how many buses, how many people have cars, whatever, and they're gonna do the calculation based on how many spaces are allotted to them on the Dollar Tree, shared site, because I think that's a shared parking lot.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't meet it, they're gonna come see you.
Yeah.
And if it does, you'll see them go in there and start operating.
Okay, but is the board okay with having, because I guess technically if you say yes, this gets approved, technically that use is permitted
No.
in both locations?
What's gonna happen is, the board's gonna make a recommendation to the governing body that it's consistent with the master plan, and whether you think there should be additional parking or not required. And the governing body's gonna say, thanks, appreciate your input. And then they're gonna decide what the standard should be, by
Governing
having a
body has
second
no-
reading or whatever
I'm
on
not
the
talking about
ordinance.
parking.
No, governing body has no-
I'm talking about the use,
Yeah. Governing body has no obligation to accept in whole or in part what we're recommending.
I understand, but.
But I think Dan's
The
point
board-
is, should their amendment be add a use to
Right.
whatever this block is, remove this use from 600 Main Street?
That's my point.
Yeah, if you want to make that
The use
recommendation.
isn't, yeah, so the use isn't permitted at 600 Main. But I understand your concern that, if their lease gets renewed, and then we've just made this new site available, somebody else could come in, and then we have two of these adult
Yeah, or they
daycares.
move and somebody else comes in. I'm not just saying, it seems like we're going through this because the use was not, you went through this originally because the use was not desired in
Yes.
the zone. So I'm not saying I really care, I'm asking the board, the way this is written is not that it's saying, okay, 600 goes away and we go to 1105. It's just like you're adding 1105 for that use. Is the board okay with that, or they want to make a recommendation different?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And the only thing I'm gonna say is, I don't know that you can, land use is not person-specific,
No, it's not.
so they can't say it has to be Jersey
No,
Shore.
no, no. 'Cause
No.
then land use has to be site-specific for a specific use, not for an individual. Yeah. It's not
So
personal.
that's the only,
Well, I'll give my opinion. I think it's good, we should add it. I think it's a good location for an adult daycare. If we end up with two, I'm fine with that.
I'd like to go one step further. I'd like to see the whole zone have that as a permitted use. The population is aging, and, 5 years from now, well, we may need another facility. And I don't know, but there's the possibility that another building might become available for that use.
The thing that I can say about that, Jim, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Donna, from your other hat, your planning hat, because we're going to be doing some modifications to zoning shortly. We're meeting like in a couple of weeks, and we can propose that.
yes,
To
in a couple of
say,
weeks.
add it.
You're right.
It is, it's in like 2 weeks or something like that. That we can propose that we add that as a use. And I'm fine with that. And we can put that in, and then it goes in front of we propose it, it goes in front of the public, it goes in front of the council, it goes in front of everybody. So we can add that as a suggestion.
And that's how
I think
it
that's
was
fair.
brought to the council's attention. How can it be okay for the 600 block of Main Street, but it's not okay for the 1100 block of Main Street,
Fair.
which made no sense to me. But you're saying it was never okay for the 600 block of Main Street? Well, then how's it been operating all these years?
I can't say. I mean,
Oh.
again, I don't know when they moved in there.
I thought it was a permitted
Oh,
use.
geez, How old are you? Many years ago.
Right, so it may have been before,
Before the zoning.
would have been before the redevelopment plan?
I have no
It
idea.
might have been, permitted when it was a B district.
All right, so here we are.
Yes.
So I have a question about parking. So the recommendations here is one spot for each vehicle plus one spot per 900 square feet. My concern is there's employees there, is one spot per 900 square feet enough, in your opinion, as the board planner, Is that enough parking for this use?
Well, both I and the redevelopment plan are pro no parking minimums. So, I'm going to err on the side of, I don't think they need parking. All they're doing is having their buses periodically. Hopefully, will encourage other modes of employee transportation. Unfortunately, I think they're required unless, no, I'm going to take that back. There used to be a regulation, I don't know that it still is, but they weren't allowed to do drop-off pickup by personal car. But the point is, it's more of a drop-off pickup rather than store your car all day. So
But I was thinking of the employees who work there. Have to get there somehow. But maybe it's by foot, by bus, some might park. That was kind of my concern. It's not really a
I'm hopeful
concern
that
much
as part
a
of
question.
figuring out why it was 1 per 900 square feet, they've counted how many full-time employees on, a shift and
Okay, great.
accommodated all that.
Perfect.
But that could be a recommendation, that we could.
And it
adhere
sounds
to
like
the
they're going to
recommendation.
end up having more parking than they do now.
Right.
Well, that was my question, is like, do we like this number, 1 per 900 square feet? If that's about right for how many employees are going to park per shift, then works for me.
How many square feet is
Right
the
now,
building?
all the employees are parking on the street because there's no place for them to park other than on the street.
Yeah.
And the buses that drop off, and they kind of use the front of the
street.
building. So partially,
It's an
there
improvement.
is parking
Right.
next to this building that they did not have before. How many parking spots are there? I don't know.
As I recall, there's about 9 plus a commercial a door in the rear that, a loading platform in the rear of the building at the end of the parking lot, on the west end of the parking lot. When it was approved.
Yeah, I don't know who has rights to what parts of which lot over there.
Well,
But there is a shared parking situation.
I think only the south side of that parking lot is for use of the building.
Yep. Did you have something, John? Or were you okay? All right. Any other questions from the board members? Any other questions from our professionals? Any questions from the public
No,
about this particular situation? Oh, this is not a public thing?
no.
Well, that's up to you.
I like to open it up to the public personally, but if we have nobody has anything to say anyway, okay. All right, how about if I just give this a shot and then you can jump in if I'm off base here. I'd like to propose that we approve this use with a recommendation that the parking is enough for the for the trucks,
Buses?
the buses that come and go, and for the employees. And that's the recommendation. That's the recommendation part, as opposed to the approval part. Anyone want to add anything to that, or remove something from that?
That's kind of, I agree with what you're trying to do, but it's kind of difficult to, if there's only finite spaces, and they have, it's better than what they have over here.
But but once again, it's up to the city, to the council and mayor and council to adhere, to agree to it, agree or not agree.
Yeah.
They can say
Or
yes or no.
reconsider what the calculation is.
Yes, they consider what the calculation
Yeah.
is, if it makes sense.
You're just saying sort of like a heads up, it's a
Yeah.
recommendation.
Heads up,
Don't
it's a
forget that-
recommendation.
Please make sure you look at this and ensure that there's adequate on-site parking for the operation vehicles and
Operation.
employee parking.
Right.
And then
That's it.
at least they'll be aware of the issue, and then whatever they can do, they will do.
Right.
If there's no space, there's no space.
And they will decide whether that's okay or not okay.
Okay.
And they don't have any big buses, they're like the vans.
Yes, in vans.
And it's drop off, pick up, so they can drop them off and they can go park their vans someplace else and then walk and bring the vans
Bring them
back.
back.
Doesn't seem to be a problem. Bring it right back to 600.
Okay. They'll probably bring them back to 600, you're right.
They can park them in Walgreens, it's empty.
All right, that's my proposal. If anybody has any concerns about that? All right, then I'll make a motion for that to be the proposal.
I'll second.
Who's gonna get the second, Dan or Jim?
Jim?
Jim, okay. Okay, yeah, second. And Henry, okay.
All right. Councilwoman Clayton?
Yes.
Jim Henry?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Jen Souter?
I'm gonna abstain.
Daniel Shinameo?
Yes.
Kathy McLaughlin?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gunnan?
Yes.
Chairwoman Kurzak?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
got it.
All right, next one up is 527 Bangs Avenue.
Yeah, Madam Chairwoman, I've reviewed the notices, they're in proper form, we have jurisdiction to proceed.
Terrific.
You did good. Yes, they do.
That's what the resolution says.
What?
That's what the resolution says, it's 600 for the manufacturers.
Okay.
So they're with the site specifically. Okay, thank you.
And in front of 1100, there's no parking, so there's actually a drop-off space.
Okay.
If I may, Andrew Karras, counsel for Pearl Butt Realty LLC with regard to property at 527 Bangs Avenue. Block 3, excuse me, Block 3101, Lot 9. As the board may recall, this property had been subject to approvals in the past for a mixed-use building, 42 apartment units, ground floor, commercial. The reason that we are back tonight is just for a slight modification to the plans. Originally, the approval provided for balconies on the second floor in the rear of the building to extend about 5 feet 4 inches from the back facade of the building. We advertised seeking an amendment to that to allow it to go to the edge of the building. Your board planner correctly told me there was an inconsistency with the plans that we had submitted. So it is actually not going to the edge of the building, it is going 1 feet 8 inches off of the edge of the building, so not quite to the edge of the building. So the amendment that we are seeking is the railings, the deck on the back, which has been approved, that balcony, is going 7 feet 8 inches from the rear facade of the building, which will be 1 feet 8 inches off of the edge of the roof.
What are those two dimensions again, Andy? I couldn't hear you there.
Sure. From the facade, it's 7 feet 8 inches. That's where the railing is, and then there's an additional 1 foot 8 inches then to the edge of the roof, which is on the property line.
And that's 1 foot, what was this?
8 inches.
Thank you.
And what I'm going to do, and I apologize for the late submission of this, I am going to pass these out which reflect that correction. Again, I do appreciate the board planner providing me with that information of the inconsistency. And what I'm going to do is mark as A1 for identification this plan with today's date. And that's really the extent of the application here tonight for an amendment. It's very simple, very straightforward. It's limited. I have one witness who's going to testify, Mr. Lucinelli, essentially to what I provided.
All right, can I say something before we get started here?
Sure. Thank you very much.
Going forward with your clients and with our architect, can we be sure that the dates on
I know,
The dates are all messed up.
100%. I
So-
100% agree with you.
So I don't know what I'm looking at, but,
We're going to redate these to the current date. I don't
Please.
disagree with you, I agree with you
okay,
on that.
because both of these plans are all over the place. Okay, here you go.
I'd like to call David Bucinelli, our architect, for our testimony.
Please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record and spell it.
David Businelli, Businelli.
Mr. Bucinelli, can you please give the board the benefit of your qualifications?
You've testified, David.
Yes,
On more than one occasion.
more than one
Is
occasion.
your license still current?
Yes, it is.
And what's your field of expertise?
Building
Architect?
design.
You're an architect?
I'm a registered architect.
Okay. Any need to get any more? Yeah, okay.
And what we're looking at, what was just provided to us, is the correct date 7/23/24?
Yes, it is.
All right, so this was created 7/23/24 that you just provided to us.
Yes.
Also, give me some background of your familiarity with the plans and the work that you've done.
So, Mr. Bucinelli, you're familiar with this project, am I
Yes,
correct?
yes, I
In
am.
fact, you've testified on this project previously, correct?
Yes.
And what we're looking at, A1 for identification or plans, their JCA group is an architectural firm, but you've worked with them on this project. And as I indicated, your overall responsibility for the architectural submissions on this project, correct?
Yes.
And looking at what's been marked as A1 for identification, I just want to take you to what we're looking at on page A2, which is up on the screen, am I correct?
Yes.
And that reflects the amendment to the application that we're here for tonight relative to the balcony, correct?
Right.
I want you to describe the dimensions on there, what is existing and what we're looking for in terms of
Pardon me,
this.
before he answers that question, I want to swear in my staff,
Okay,
if I may. Barbara, is that okay?
sure.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your names for the record and your affiliation with the board.
Donna Miller, board planner.
Sam Avakian, board engineer. Pardon the interruption.
It's okay. So, I'm sorry to be harping on this, but the first page says it's July 23rd, 2024. The second page says it's August 5th, 2022.
It's incorrectly paid. I'll tell you right now.
Okay,
It's
so
not
tell
correct.
us what dates we should be looking at on all of these, on all these various pages.
Go ahead.
It's not what dates. When was the change made? Because
Correct.
I've seen
That's fine. I'll take
versions
that.
of these plans multiple times over the past several weeks, and they all say 7/23/24 is the last revised date. So were these prepared today? These revisions?
The revision on this particular, on page 2,
Page 2
yes.
was made today.
Yes, and I'm going to have JCA redated. Keep in mind, I've had this issue with them
Okay.
going back.
But Mr. Bussinelli did not make the changes.
He didn't, but he's familiar, he had conversations with them, that's
So
why.
somebody at JCA group made the revisions, they just didn't
They didn't.
update the dates
Correct,
on the plans.
that is correct.
Okay.
Looking at what is marked, or A2 of what's marked as A1 for identification, that reflects the dimensions of the balcony, am I correct?
That's correct.
And what are the dimensions of the balcony is reflected on this plan?
The balcony itself is 7 feet 8 from the outside face of the rear exterior wall to the railing, and then 1 foot 8 from the railing to the edge of the building.
Okay, and what was approved was at 5 feet 4 inches, am I correct?
That's correct.
From that facade, am I correct?
So we have, our total dimension of that rear revision is 9 foot 4.
Okay. And that's the extent of the revisions that we're seeking, am I correct?
That's correct.
That's all I have.
Okay. I saw something else. It says, this was done to enclose the garage opening. Is that true? Was the garage opening not closed before this?
It's the note that's right there, next to 7
Because it's, right, it's on the note itself. It says, I get the deck.
No extension of the.
It says to enclose garage opening.
What is
What does that mean?
The deck was there was an open area above the garage
Okay?
in the rear of the building, and it was decked. The roof of the garage was extended to the edge of the building. So therefore, the railings were then extended to enlarge the balconies.
Not
Okay.
that there was an opening in the roof
There
of
was,
the garage.
There was an opening in the,
yeah.
there was an opening in the roof.
It's
Now
not-
there's no longer an opening in the roof. And the balconies have been extended.
Was the
All right.
opening for ventilation or anything of such in the garage?
That's a good question. I'd have to find that out.
What's the question?
The question was if the opening was for ventilation of the garage? So like, I'm not, that's just a general question. It wasn't a part of the original
It's
application.
a,
That
it's a
was
fair
my-
But if
question.
you're gonna close it, yeah, we should.
No, that was my understanding.
Let's not compete with the train.
It was my understanding that it was extended at a certain point.
That was,
But there was a gap for whatever reason. I don't think it was for renovation. We'd have to find out.
Can you speak into the mic, please? We can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, my recollection here from the approved plans, because I went back to the approved, it extended to that property line, that roof. I'm pretty sure of that. I don't know why that note is on there, but I'm pretty sure that the approved plans, and every time we've come back here, showed it going to that property line and closed. That's why I don't know what that note is.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Well,
We'll find out. That's the bottom line.
I've always construed it to mean that it was open, uncovered, not open, like the garage is open, just the roof area is uncovered, because the balcony above doesn't come out as far.
That's, I'm thinking it just was uncovered, and the balcony didn't extend over.
Right.
Okay, that I agree with.
well,
He's gonna have to clarify.
Okay.
the note.
I'm looking at.
I just think the note is
plans.
poorly stated.
all right, I can,
Site plan.
while you guys are looking, I can say that the extension of the balcony, personally, is okay. It makes sense. If that garage, if that has anything to do with the ventilation, then I'm not okay. So, but ventilation for the garage, then I'm not okay. So, it's,
There, yeah, like I say, I recall that plan, I went through it today, the old plans on it, because I was myself so confused with the dates. Nate Paul had it going right to the property line, that roof.
well, if this does get approved, I would like a condition to be that if it has nothing to do with the garage ventilation, then it's fine. Previously, that it was not agreed upon that it was garage ventilation. If that's not an issue, then I personally don't see concern here. But anybody else can certainly voice their opinion.
So I have a copy of the 2019 plan open to me, and the entire back wall is a solid enclosed, covered parking area from that the original approval.
The original approval that we did, it was enclosed when it was built, even though when it was built, it wasn't.
It was proposed to be enclosed.
It was proposed to be enclosed to start.
Yes.
what exists now?
That enclosed.
It's already
It's
done.
enclosed.
It's done.
Built,
Oh, okay.
yeah, consistent
It's
with
here,
that.
yeah, because it says open to
No, and that's why that's when I was looking at the plans, it extended all the way across.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have
So
a question.
you're just
The
moving the
architect
balconies out to meet the.
That is correct.
The edge of the garage.
Going from 5 feet 4 inches to 7 feet 8.
So
So
it's not gonna go flush, it's gonna be a foot.
it's gonna be 1 foot 8 inches off the edge, so you're going additional 2 feet 4 inches.
What's the basis for the expansion?
Provides more area for the tenants.
Does that railing exist now?
The building?
That railing that we're
Yes.
talking about?
People living there.
And when was it discovered that this was not in accordance with the original
We
approval?
submitted, it when they were finishing the building, that's when I came in. I submitted this in the application in November, 6 months ago.
And you're just getting here now?
Correct.
Well, you were originally supposed to be heard in like February or something.
I screwed up the notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are people living in those apartments?
Yeah. It came out beautiful. Building's beautiful.
So it was built and enlarged, and then.
And then we're coming in for the amendment, correct?
The second floor.
So before, it wasn't before you wrote down the same piece of wood.
Making sure.
Any other questions from the planning board members?
My only thing, so, and this was even in the agenda, is that there's still inconsistencies with the facade from the original plans. By us approving this tonight, we're not saying what's there is okay, because the city is still working with the developer.
We're not here for the facade.
We're just here to address this one issue.
I just want to make sure we're not like rubber stamping what you built is okay. Okay.
No, one of the conditions of all amendments is any outstanding conditions of prior approvals that have not been revised or modified by this amendment must be complied with.
Okay.
Do you have enough to?
Anybody else?
I just, one other question. And so you're not going to do any extensions on the third floor or the fourth floor? This is only for the second floor?
Only for the second floor, as it goes over here, is correct.
Anybody else? Any questions from our professionals? Any questions from the public? Okay. All right. Then I would propose that we approve the extension of the balcony. I'm still not warm and fuzzy about the about the ventilation, but if it was on the plans that it was brought in as closed, then I'm fine with it. So without any kind of
Well,
you'll have your
I'll
normal.
put something in there to mention the roof, that it's represented that the roof has already.
That's
been
fair.
extended.
That's fair.
And the correction of all the dates, submission of documents revised, dates, that this is only the extent of the modifications granted, everything else remains in.
Correct.
And that's moved by Barbara,
Yes.
and we need a second, if so.
Second.
Any discussion? None, we'll call roll.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Oh, wait, you're right. We haven't opened it to public comment.
Oh, I thought you did.
I did 2 questions.
Oh,
Did
okay, I'm
questions.
sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Can I get a motion to open a public comment?
So move.
Second.
Close.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Let's go.
Jack, I'm still good with Barbara and.
Yeah, well, who,
It was Barbara
I
that made the motion and Daniel Shinameo seconded.
we've probably had changes over the years. Do you have any issue with the entire board voting?
No, I
Okay,
consent.
so then everybody will be eligible for this, sure, okay.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Yes.
Jim Henry.
I'm going to abstain. I get very upset when the developer does something not shown on the plans and changes it without prior approval. I'm going to abstain.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Jen Souter.
Yes.
Daniel Shinameo.
Yes.
Kathy McLaughlin.
Yes.
Vice Chair Goonan.
Yes.
Chairwoman Kurzak.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
To adjourn?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
There's mechanics.